So next we're going to take our fabric and we're going to lay it out on the half. Preliminary things that you could do is you could pre-wash the fabric, and if we were in a costume shop right now, I could pre-wash it for you. You would have brought me the fabric the day before, and I could have used the costume shop laundry facilities to pre-wash your fabric. But I'm not pre-washing it here in my apartment, so you have the option of pre-washing it, but it's not exactly necessary. So your fabric is going to be 45 inches wide. You might also have purchased 60 inches wide fabric, which is fine. You'll just have like a lot of extra fabric laying over. So the first thing that we want to do is fold our fabric in half. And we want to fold it so that the pretty side, which is facing you, gets folded in. So that means when you fold it in half, that's the ugly side on the outside and the pretty side's on the inside. Okay? So I have my fabric and I'm going to lay it on the floor. As you can see, I have an inquisitive cat, so that's not going to help. And here I am laying my fabric on the half on the floor, and I have my pattern pieces here. And I gotta tell you, I am too old for this. I can't, and the cat is too annoying. So this is how you would be laying it out on the floor. But if you do have a table, which I do, I'm going to continue on the table. So the first thing that you need to do is you're going to have to take your 2 yards of fabric that's on the fold already, and you're going to have to fold it in half lengthwise. The reason for this is because your pajama pants are actually going to be slightly shorter, because I didn't make you buy 4 yards of fabric. I just had you buy 2 yards of fabric. And so the bottom of your pajama pants are going to be slightly shorter. So in order for the pajama pants to be even, you're going to fold this in half, and you're going to mark the halfway point on your fabric. You can just do the edge right here. This is the wrong side of the fabric, so it's not going to be seen on the pretty side. So you have this marked, and you already have it folded in half. So now you can either lay it on the floor or you can lay it on the table. So I'm going to lay mine on the table because I cannot get up once I'm down on the ground. I have a couple of weights here. They're just household utensils. So I'm going to lay my fabric on the table like so. And part of it's going to hang over the side, but that's okay because I have my halfway point marked. So I have this laid out here like this, and now I'm going to get the camera a little bit closer to the work. So I'm starting out with the first half of my fabric. As you can see over here, I've put my ruler where the halfway point is on my 2-yard piece. So I'm going to be laying out my pants front on this part of the 2-yard piece, and I'm laying out my pants back on the other side of the 2-yard piece. I'm going to start with the top of the waist. So here's the piece. And I'm going to put this part on the end here. And then I'm going to let this go all the way to my halfway point. So as you can see here, in my tiny, small size pants, have enough room. So I hope this won't confuse you, but I can demonstrate with you what an extra large pair of pants looks like on my 1-yard piece. So this is larger. This is an adult extra large. And if you look here, you can see that the 1-yard piece is too short for the pants to go all the way. So it's going to be this much shorter. The pants are going to be that much shorter. So they're kind of more like board shorts. But the upside is you have to do less sewing. You've just eliminated 2 feet of stitching. So this is for scale, but I'm going to go back to demonstrating with the tissue pattern. So here's my front piece, and I just have to lay it out on the double. And that way you're guaranteed to have 2 mirror images because you're laying it out twice. A couple things to look at. On the pattern piece is an arrow. and that arrow is the grain of the fabric. So the grain of the fabric goes up and down like this. So what you can do is you can measure this arrow to your selvage, the selvage being the side, and you just have to make sure that at the bottom of the arrow here, mine measures 12 3/4, and then you measure it up here at the top. Ooh, it's a little bit off. Let me correct it. So now I have my pattern piece straight up and down on the selvage. So you can attach this to the pattern piece, because if you start cutting and like your cat comes up or you sneeze, this thing's gonna blow away. So there's two ways of doing this. If you have pins at home, you can pin this down, and you just have to kind of put the pins in while not shifting the fabric. So you got to pin it very carefully. Like that. So pinning is very secure. Right? So that's fine. But if you don't have pins, you can also use weights. So for weights, you can just use any household items. I, for example, have this lovely shot glass for here. I have a little glass here. Let's see, I have a little cup. I'm going to put that in the crotch area, and this one I'll put up here. So I have it weighed down, so you can do that also. So I have everything set up. Actually, before we start cutting out the pajama front, we should also place the pocket here in the crotch crook right here. And I checked with the full-size piece, and you should have enough room width-wise for your pajama pants front, and then you're going to stick the pajama pants in the crotch. And this you can also follow on the instructions on the page 1 on the bottom of the instructions. So I'm just going to place this here, because the thing is, once you start cutting, you kind of want to cut everything out in the same area. If you just cut this out and then you remove the pajama pants front and then cut out the pocket, sometimes the fabric shifts and it gets really messy. So that's the first step. The second step is there are some marks that you have to make on your pattern piece. So again, using a regular pencil versus a mechanical pencil is very important. If you look on your front piece, around the upper hip area, you see there's a little notch here, and then you see there's a dot that says L, or M, or SS. So choose what size you are, and you're going to poke a hole through that dot, and you're going to mark that through to your fabric. So if you use a mechanical pencil, you're not going to be poking a big enough hole through. So you can do it, but you're just going to have to do a lot of digging. So you're going to make sure, and flip that over to make sure that you have those two dots, like that. Okay, so now you're ready to start cutting the front as well as the pocket. And remember, we're cutting this pocket twice, so the other pocket you're going to be cutting on the other side of the fabric. So I'm going to cut this out, and for you, of course, it's going to be a little bit bigger because you're not making children's pants, you're making adult pants. So you're cutting right along the edge. The seam allowance is included in this pattern piece, so you do not have to draw any additional lines. If you do, your additional lines are going to make your costume 5/8 of an inch too big around the entire pajama pants. So you're just cutting right along the edge like this. And then after you finish cutting this, it's very, very important for you to cut the notches. So you got to cut it here too. So the notches, as you have notches on your miniature pajama pieces. So what you just want to do is clip in exactly in that triangle. You just want to clip right into the center of the triangle. Don't make it too big, because then otherwise you're slicing into your the fabric. You're just clipping into that 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. So there's one here between these two dots. There's two in the front. Now don't be confused by two notches in the front. I was telling you that usually two notches means the back. Oh, and there's one other little dot up here that we have to mark too. So I think that's one size fits all. This dot here, you're going to make your little mark too. Let's see. The notches on the inseam here, there's 3 different ones. So you have to select what size you're choosing, and you're going to be cutting the notch that's right by the cutting line. So for my large ones, it's right here on the outside. So you can ignore these 2 notches. And then I just have to cut the bottom. And again, for you, your extra fabric's going to be hanging over the halfway line, so you're just making shorter pants. Okay, and I've already cut this. Good. So I have, oh, let me cut the pocket. Same thing with the pocket. Let's see, we have the outline. And then we have a couple of notches. We have these 2 circles, and again, I think they're one size fits all. So no matter what size pants you're making, you're going to be marking these 2 circles. And then there's a notch here. And then here at the bottom there's 2 notches. These notches at the bottom are just to kind of help you make your pants pockets. Good. So we have our piece 9, the front, and we have half of our piece 11, the pocket, and we're going to cut that out a second time. So I'm going to remove my pocket and set that aside, and I'm going to carefully remove my front piece, and I think I can actually fold it as I'm pulling it away, just so that I keep all the pieces together. And I'm going to set that aside. So now I'm going to pull down the other half of my 1 yard piece, like this, and I'm going to lay my back on there. And again, I'm laying this piece with the waist at the end of the fabric, making sure that this is on a straight grain. Got to scoot this all the way over to the edge, like this. So I can remeasure this. What's this now? This is top of the arrow, it's 7.5. Bottom of the arrow, ooh, it's 7, hold on, 7.5. And then this is 7.5. So now I have more space to put my second pocket here. So you have to cut this pocket out 2 times. This time I'll use pins. And again, don't forget you're going to have to mark all these dots, and you're going to have to cut all these notches. So this is 10, and I think I put my 10 on mirror backwards, but it doesn't matter because you're cutting it out on the mirror image. So actually I can show you. If you want all your numbers to face upwards, you can also just flip this. Like this. And then you can place your pocket here. So I'm going to measure this again on this side. This is 7. And then I want this to be 7 also. Oop! That's 7. Okay. And I'll just pin this through and through. So now I have the pattern on top of 4 layers of fabric instead of just 2 layers. Next step, let's mark those dots. So on the back piece you have these same 2 dots on the upper hip right here. So you can poke a hole through there with your pencil. You can mark that. Mark this. And then there's one here in the crotch. So you got to use the one, I think it's a universal one. So you're just going to mark this here. Sweaty hands. Okay, so now I'm ready to cut out the back. And I'm going to cut these notches. There's one notch here, and again you're just snipping like 3/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch in. If you do like 5/8 of an inch or 3/4, you're going to extend and you're going to have a slit in your garment. So you just want to make a little tiny notch. So here the back has 3 notches. So that's how you know it's going to be the back, is that there's 3 notches. And then there's a notch here in the crotch also. So again, there's 3 notches. You have to do the notch on the line of the size that you've chosen. So mine is the outside line. And I have the pencil line good. Have everything excellent. And then I'm just going to cut out the other pocket real quick. And then this, again, I'm just going to carefully fold. Oh, wait, I have to cut out the back. I'm just going to carefully fold this up. Just so that all the pieces remain together. And we're going to move on to the next step then.